So I stopped off in Dungiven for a cup of coffee and then decided I'd gone far enough. So I'm back in Dungiven today, just had another cup of coffee. Stopped off at the church, there's a very nice backdrop here. And I've changed my bike since I was last here. So I've got this guy, a bit more serious mountain bike with a 1x12 gears, which so far are working quite well, and a dropper post, not very good when you've got a saddlebag on the back, but hopefully I won't need that too much today, but there could be a lot of hiking. We're going from the southern spurns to the northern spurns. I'm just looking at the quite high hills up ahead there, so it'll be quite novel to see what's in store. I know there's a bit of hike-a-bike, but the plan today is to head up to the north coast. Today is the warmest day in April so far. It's early April and we've got a bit of a heat wave this week, and today is the warmest day, so I took the day off work and came down here to make the most of it. So as usual, time to get going. The usual, trying to turn on a busy road. And this town has a castle on up ahead, but I don't have the time to take the detour. One of the interesting things when you think about the fact that this is after all, called the International Appalachian Trail and its connection to the Appalachian Mountains, it's not just a geological connection. If you look at the history of Ireland with plantations and the Great Famine, there are a lot of people who left Ireland and went to the east coast of America and settled in the Appalachian Mountains. When you go to somewhere like Port isn't historically recorded as necessarily why the village was abandoned, but there are plenty of villages in Ireland where it's quite well known why the locals left, and generally it was to immigrate. Now that strong connection with the Appalachian Mountains is that a lot of Irish and also a lot of Scots-Irish who had settled during the plantations initially then had to leave, if you brush up on the history, and they went to the Americas and also settled in the Appalachian Mountains. There's a lot of culture, Irish culture, that's still there, playing songs and music. One of the interesting things, if you believe everything you read, is that other Europeans who settled in the Appalachian Mountains, when they're setting up their homesteads, they would quickly establish a church. But the Irish and the Scots-Irish quickly established distilleries, which is quite amusing. There was also did a video on Ironmore Island, and there's a strong connection there. It's an island in America, but they both settle and they still keep connections with the island. So I think, as most people know, there's a strong connection with American history, Canadian history, and Ireland, and quite a bit of the rest of the world for that matter. But particularly strong in the Appalachian Mountains, which makes it all the more appropriate that there's a trail in Ireland that makes that connection. Excuse all the heavy breathing, but this is a long hill. You can just see the town below, contrast, always peace and quiet. Wilderness. Okay, so according to the signpost, we go this way. Always fascinating. A glimpse of where we're going next. This is good. Oh, an awful lot of trees down in there. You do appreciate forestry service clearing forests after a storm, because when they don't, boy, that was a battle. Lambing season. Hello, little lambs. Oh yeah. Always good to get off the busier roads and on to the quiet stuff. Oh, it smells bad. Silence. Oh. I do feel like Julie Andrews should be up here singing to me. That was the toughest hike yet with the bicycle. Certainly worth it to sort of get really feeling it in the wilderness. Apart from all the farmland after that. Oh, it's great to be at the top. tough getting over on this part of that trail compared to the rough stuff. We're turning off just to the right here into the forest. Somewhere I've been a few times before. If you head on down that road, if you come down that hill, there's a little coffee shop over there on this rather marvellous beach. If your feet were weary and you needed a bit of refreshing in the cold water, and that's where we're going next. There's some peacocks live around this house here. You often hear them if you don't see them. Absolutely. There's a split in the path here. If I go left and go out that gate and turn left, which is the same road that I just was on whenever we passed the peacocks, there's a waterfall there which is worth a little look. You know, the steep tours worth taking. That would be get back down there and turn left. We just go straight on past the house for the peacocks. So here we are at Musenden. What I'm going to do here, the waymark goes right along this busy road, but I'm going to take a detour. I'm going to go in through that archway. There's another opening further down called Lions Gate, which gives you access into Musenden, but I'm going to park the bike and then go in through that archway opposite. So we've ditched the bike. Just over there where that car's parked is where I came out on the bike. And I've come back on another day because of the lack of daylight. And I couldn't have picked a better day. This is quite a scenic walk at the best of times. And when you get a bit of sunshine, it makes all the difference. I don't know why the International Appalachian Trail does not go out to Musenden Temple. It just comes out on the road there and turns right. Perhaps it's a thing of the National Trust who own this property, that they don't like to encourage people who are doing the trail to cut through their land. And I suppose, strictly speaking, you pay an entrance fee to get in here, I think. But it's not always staffed, so there's not always somebody to give money to. So we came out of Bishop's Gate, that's Lions Gate. There's a coffee shop down there in the National Trust car park, and a walled garden, and marvellous view of the sea. County Donegal in the background. Of course, if you look in the opposite direction, there's an equally stunning beach just beside the town of Downhill. On a day like today, it looks very inviting. Well, that was 52k of a cycle with a lot of hike bike. It took me about 7.5 hours nearly to do that stretch, but absolute a blast. The interesting thing is that Dungiven was the last bit of civilization until basically I hit the north coast, and then there's a few bits of towns about the place and places you can get some food and drink. I had to stop at a river. Normally I would only drink water from mountain streams that were really high up, but needs must. And I could have done with carrying a lot more chocolate. But it was fine, I made it. Ran out of daylight, so I'm shooting this last couple of frames of finishing on another day when the sun is shining again. And the scenery is quite rewarding. So that's it from this section. Funny enough, when you hit the road there, I think that's around about the 300-kilometre mark. So it's been, it would have been interesting to have done all this all in one go. Maybe someday. I have to work for a living. So I'll sign off for now and start the next video basically here where I've left off at Musenden Temple.